anything like this. Okay, unless it is really a custom thing where you are writing some on your project, you are fetching some records and all, then go ahead with if else and all. Any numeric computation and all Python has given.
multiple list में it's okay, right?
Yes, yes.
If else.
Yes, we'll see all those conditions. Right now, I'm just talking about if and relational operators. Correct. We'll see nested if else if ladder, everything. So I hope this thing is clear, right? So go ahead with functional programming language, and trust me, you don't have to write code. Huh? You will find that code into some of the modules. It is better to implement the code which is there inside the module rather than writing custom code. Because if you write custom code, again, bugs are introduced, exception handling. Who has to do? You have to, break your head by writing. So Python says don't write code. If you don't want to write code, use Python. Okay. So this is what I can see. So we'll also see how to import libraries and how to use it across. Now I'll go
while writing, while writing a code, as you mentioned that we don't have to use much curly brackets, square bracket, and parentheses, but still they have importance while writing a code in Python, right?
Of course, I'm not getting used. You're saying square bracket and parenthesis and all.
As you shown previously, there were some curly bracket there, but you written a code, let's say given a space. That would, I mean, that serve our purpose, which is there in curly bracket and parenthesis. But what I'm saying, still there is a importance of those curly bracket and parenthesis in Python as well.
Yes, because parenthesis is for creating set and dictionary.
Yes.
And parenthesis is for tuple, and curly braces is for creating a set and dictionary. That is having some predefined meaning. You cannot use that thing in Python. It will give you syntax error. Got it. Now, the reason why you cannot use it in Python is those are having predefined meaning. That is the reason they have replaced it with colon and indent and outlet. So talking about this, we'll see logical operators. What are logical operators? And or not. You have three logical operators. Logical operators and or not. So these are going to return two or more conditions. So if you have two or more conditions, you'll have to write and or and. So in C language, you might have done this and, correct, or correct. In C language, these operators were there. Here you don't have that and or. You can write A and B. So here I'll just copy paste this. And I will say if variable 1, 2, and I'll put 3. Because I want to do it with 3. And I will say if variable 1 greater than variable 2 and variable 1 is greater than variable 3, then print 1 is greater. Okay. Else if, don't write like this. You can just say elif. Okay, elif. Variable 1, 2 is greater than 3. 2 is greater than 1. 2 is greater. Else 3 is greater. So observe, I'm using and for more than one condition. I'm using elif, and also just wanted to show, even if you write one space, still it will go. Even if you go ahead with two space, 1, 2, see, it is working fine. So it's not necessary, but if you don't give any space, then how? Obviously it becomes a syntax error. The syntax error is indentation error. It's not an exception handling. You cannot handle it with try and exception. So you'll say indentation error. I'll put it into try block. It is like this is a syntax error. So syntax error, you'll have to fix it.
Actually, I am trying to understand the references var1 and var2 is equal to 100 and 200. So that mapping and indexing, how that
Tuple unpacking.
tuple.
We discussed yesterday only, no? So whenever you put a comma operator, it becomes a tuple. And tuple unpack कैसे करते हैं? Two ways. Either on the left hand side, ये सबसे easiest way. And this is so nice. I really love this because this will greatly increase the readability of your code. And the other way is for loop, which we'll discuss. So there are two ways in which you can unpack it. Or you can also use what? Subscript. Third way. The third way is use subscript. So this is about logical operators. Observe that there is a colon and spacing. Okay. So and or not. And the next thing what we'll say is one nice thing about Python, which is not going to work in C language or Java. Okay. You can chain operators in Python. Chaining. So it means I could have, no need of writing. I could have written variable 1 is greater than 2 and 2 is greater than 3. Something like this works absolutely fine in only Python, by the way. Doesn't work in C language or C++ or even Java. See, is it giving you the same result? I'm not even writing and or. I'm just. So operators can be chained in Python. If you would have done something like this in C language, it won't give you a syntax error. Okay, what it will do is it will check whether variable 1 is greater than 2 and it will return a Boolean value 0 or 1. Correct. And then 0 and 1 will be checked with 3. But in Python, how it works? In Python, 1 will be checked with 2 and 2 will be checked with 3. Got it, no? So this is something which is different compared to rest of the language.
3 also have to check with 1, right? If
Obviously, 1 will be checked with 2 and I'm saying that.
Okay, in other way.
Like if I say A equal to B equal to C, then only A equal to B will be checked. And then either 0 or 1 will be returned and then 0 and 1 will be checked with 3 in rest of the languages. But here ऐसा नहीं होता है. Here what it will do, 2 will be checked with 3. No need to write and on. So this particular concept is called as operators can be chained. Operator chaining. Now that we have talked about operator chaining, I will introduce two lovely functions, or I'll go ahead with nested if else. This is else if ladder, and you can nest if within if, or within if you can just see to it that you indent your code properly. That's it. So here I'll just go ahead with greatest of 3 numbers. I'll replace with a what do you say, if condition, and this else can also be replaced. Just see, observe the change that I'm doing. I'm just copy pasting the same code. I'll say if variable 1 is greater than 2, then I will check if variable 1 is greater than 3. Okay, and then variable 1 is greater. Else, if 1 is greater than 2 and 1 is not greater than 3, then 3 is greater. Else, if 1 is not greater than 2, I'll check whether 2 is greater than 3. Then 2 is greater. Else 3 is greater. That's it. You are getting the same result. Correct? And what you have done is you have nested it.
So on a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line, you put that else at left side. So first code will get some value, and again from that else will iterate next one, right?
It will just check for this. If
Yes,
this fails,
yes, correct.
it will directly come here. If it fails, it will directly come here. If it is true, then it will enter the body.
Ah, okay.
Only if this is true, it will enter the body. If this is false, Then it will go to this else part and it will check this. For this, I always take this example when I explain nested if else and all. In India, first two things people will do. What are the first two things that people will do? Complete, become a doctor, or become a engineer, right? After you complete doctor and engineering, then you can go ahead with your passion. People will follow passion later on. But India, Ukraine, when the war happened, then Indians realized all the Indians who were there in Ukraine were for what? So doctors' ka fees is so much in India that people are going there, and all the people were to do medical. देखो how many Indians are doctors. Engineers तो पूछो ही मत. Engineers is like they first do engineering, then they join acting school and what you say cricket. All the cricketers are Rahul Dravid, Chahal Srinath, Venkatesh Prasad. You see South India में तो it is like born to be engineers. Born to be engineers. South में. Okay? Let it be any state. I'm just saying this out of my experience because seriously, if you think it is true. So first what we do? First we do medical. And medical mein either I'll go for MD or I'll go for no, not engineering. Medical hai. So medical mein I'll go for and I'll come to engineering. Engineering is this part.
Concentrate there, Vasim.
This part. If first I'll go for doctor, na. If you become doctor, what you want to go ahead? MD or you'll go for dental. If first you will go for this, else I'll at least go for dental. That is much better. And medical, I cannot afford. I cannot go to Ukraine. So what I'll do? I'll go for engineering. And engineering, either I'll go for mechanical or electronics because computers I can learn later on. So first you do this. IT ka, they don't do that. See, now most of the people, they get trainings in IT industry related to any programming language. But none of the IT companies will give trainings on domain. मैकेनिकल डोमेन पे ट्रेनिंग है क्या? नहीं, वो इंजीनियरिंग में ही कर लो. इंजीनियरिंग में कर लो. तो इसीलिए people are also intelligent. People either go for mechanical or electronics. है कि नहीं?
तो घर का पंखा कैसे ठीक होगा? घर का पंखा कैसे ठीक होगा रे?
हाँ, yes, absolutely right.
Because you rightly said, पहले एजुकेशन लेते हैं,
हाँ,
उसके बाद पैशन को फॉलो करते
passion और देखो people only talk about Sachin Tendulkar and उसका 10th complete नहीं हुआ.
हाँ.
They only take two examples. See the number of cricketers who are engineers. Huge. I can say 70 to 80% वो engineer. Even actors, film industry में वो तापसी पन्नू and उनके degrees देखो what they have done. They are like proper, and then they have done. They join acting school or something. बोलते हैं hobby है, so they take it as a hobby or something. So coming back to this, you can nest if else, and I'll go ahead with two important operators, which is any and all. You have two functions, not operators. These are functions which will take collection as an argument. Okay. So here I'll go ahead with any, and I will go ahead with all. Both will take collection as an argument. And how any will work? Any will check one of the conditions. If it is true, then the whole gets evaluated to true. Inside collection, if one of the values is true, then any will return true. And in case of all requires all the elements within the collection to be true. Then you can use all. You will be saying, Deva, it's okay, but what is the use case? The use case is fantastic because it will greatly increase the readability of your code. Because if you don't have these functions, code becomes very difficult to read. Okay, so use case we'll see later on. Right now, just let us see the functionality, how it will work. So here,
Check a data type. What are the data types?
is and is not. We'll check the data type. Those are separate operators. We'll talk about those operators as well. So first, any and all, I'll just say what? If 10 is greater than 0 and 100 is greater than 50 and 200 is greater than 100, then obviously is 10 greater than 1. So then and requires all the conditions to be true. And requires all the conditions to be true. See? And the same example, this is C style of writing code. This could be converted to all. Like this. And if you replace this with a comma, replace this with a comma, and this will give you error because you have to tell that this is a tuple. No? Simply if you put comma operator, it won't, because what is happening here is all doesn't take variable number of arguments. All will take only one argument. So if you are putting comma, don't think that it is a tuple. You are passing three arguments. You'll have to tell that, you know, I'm passing a tuple. If you put like this gives you invalid syntax because all will require only one argument. And how many arguments you are passing? Three arguments. So obviously what you'll have to do, you'd say that I don't want to pass three. All the three arguments are a tuple. Now what happened? Colon is missing. So if you are not writing this, see, I misjudged it. So here the all takes exactly one argument and you are giving three arguments. So in this case, all you have to do is either you can put it into a list like this. Inside a list also it will square bracket or parenthesis. So what are the different things that you can actually write? I'll just say print all. And in case, see, I'll just go with any. And inside any, inside this collection, 0 stands for false. 0.0 is false. Correct? Your NONE is false. None. FALSE. This is also false. What are the different conditions which are false? Like 0, 0.0, none, false. Correct? And if you have an empty dictionary, this is your empty dictionary, or this is the empty tuple. Correct? Or you may have an empty list. All these are going to return false. See? Again, I forgot. Any, one more bracket. So the whole gets evaluated to. So in case if you have one of the element, even if you put -4, one of the elements which is negative value also stands for true. So now you can see this is getting evaluated to true. So this is how any works. Basically, any will do a for loop internally because it's a collection. It is taking a collection, so it will iterate values internally. And if one of the values is true, the whole gets evaluated to true. So this is your C style of doing things, and this is your Pythonic way of doing things. I'll just copy this and paste it across. I'll just change this to or, and in this case, 10 is not greater than this, 100 is not greater than this. So all requires, sorry, any requires one of the conditions to be true. Without any, how you would have done this? You should have written or. So that's all about any and all. Next, we'll see. Nice and easy, na? So the next thing what we'll see is membership operator. So what is membership operator? What? So is and is not. And you have got identity operator. Identity operators is in and not in. So these are two lovely operators which are very nicely written in Python. Trust me, you will really appreciate these things if you see the mess in the rest of the languages. Complete mess. Okay, so Python is beautiful. Don't ever forget that. Is and is not is to check the data type. You only were asking, right? How
Yes,
to check
yes.
the data type. So you can check the data type with is and is not. So right now, why will people check for data types? What is the use case? Anyways, you are creating a list, you are creating a tuple, you know that, right? And you also know that it's a dictionary. Then why will you ever go ahead with checking the data type of the object? Any specific use case?
Compare with the string and integer.
String and integer. Yes,
Like if
you
you're
can say
doing
like
Actually,
that
actually,
is one of the things that you could do. You can use to check the type.
Operation, we can check that.
Very good, very good. So that is one way in which you can use it. The other actual way of, where people use it is use it is in polymorphism. In polymorphism, what happens is this class. We have a derived class. So polymorphism works with inheritance. And in inheritance, what we do is, in polymorphism, what we do is we create a reference of base class. And after we create a reference of base class, we'll check that a reference of base class can hold addresses of derived class objects. So I'll just draw it for you. Don't worry about the use case. We'll see the use case later on. You have a base class and you have got a derived class. Okay. And this is being derived from, and the base class is your employee and derived class is manager. Okay. So in this case, you will create, can you assign manager to employee? Of course, every manager is an employee, but I cannot assign employee to manager because every employee is not a manager. So when you are assigning a derived class object to base class object, it is called as upcasting. And what is downcasting? Assigning employee to manager. That is called as downcasting. Downcasting is not supported by default. Okay. So employee reference can hold addresses of derived class objects. So you will create an employee class reference and it can hold addresses of any derived class object. But then you want to call the functions of manager class. Or I don't know, you may have one more, or instead of manager, I could have used one, something like wage employee. And then from wage employee, I'm using salesperson. Okay, so you'll have some attributes which is inherited, and this is multi-level inheritance. Employee can hold wage employee or it can hold salesperson. Correct? Now you want to call functions of wage employee or you want to call functions of salesperson. How will you know what that employee is holding? You will check, right? You will check the data type using is and is not. You will say, is the type of employee, when you say type of EMP, EMP will be equal to wage employee or SP, correct? Because every, what you say, every wage employee is an employee. So this reference can hold addresses of derived class object. And to call the functions of these, you'll have to check the data type. Whether that employee is holding address of that particular class. If it is holding address of that particular class, then call the functions of wage employee or salesperson. So this is the actual use case. And as you said, you can also check it for strings, right? Strings and integers. Is it a string or not? If it is a string, then do this. Or whatever you have passed as an argument to some function, right? Is this reference holding that particular type? If it is holding that particular, if it is a list, or if it is a tuple, then I'll do this. Absolutely right. So I'll go ahead with is and is not. I'll say employees IDs equal to, and I'm creating a tuple. And tuple is 1, 2, employee names is, I have to check the names here. Saurabh, no? Saurabh and Rahul. So here, this is inside. And now I will just check if condition. If type of employee IDs is tuple, then you are using a tuple. Right now, I'm just putting a simple print. You are using a tuple. And if you say if type of employee names IDs is not tuple or is not list, you are not using list for sure. And see, you are getting if condition. So this is how you have to use it. Use case we'll see in polygon.
We can utilize else as well here, no?
Of course, else part you can write it as per your, if it is not, oh, we'll say no, pizza. You have a pizza, you have veg pizza, non-veg pizza. So pizza preparation same, but here pizza will have some different ingredients, toppings. Here it will be different. For non-veg they will put chicken pieces and all. For veg they will put some other, garnishing. Preparation same thing, correct? Override, function overriding, and then you will call functions of based on pizza. If the ordered pizza, if it is holding veg pizza, all veg. Else prefer, so your wish. You can use multiple else if ladder as per your requirement. So here you are not using this for sure, and you'll okay. One more thing, it has nothing to do with the content. It has nothing to do with what that list is having or what that tuple is having. It can have any values. What you are doing is with membership operator, you are only checking the data type. So I'll just make a note. Membership operator is only used to check the data type, not values. So that is what membership operators will do.
What if we would have to check values?
Then you'll have to use identity operators.
Okay. Whether that is integer or string, right?
उल्टा कर रहा हूँ क्या मैं? Identity is what? Identity is to is and is not. उल्टा लिखा मैंने. And membership is in and not. Membership is searching ना.
Okay.
And identity is to identify the data type. मैंने उल्टा लिखा है, really was.
Is it veg pizza or non-veg pizza? That is. And in it means
Absolutely right. He got, if you relate it, you will never forget.
whether we have chicken piece. in
Then
pizza.
it is identify the pizza.
Yes. For us, it's veg. It's really important.
So next I'll go ahead with membership operators in rest of the languages. And by the way, this is very nice, by the way, is and is not. No complicated thing at all. 2-letter keyword, only they have given 2-letter keyword. So again, coming back to membership operators. In the rest of the languages, membership operators is like, linear search, for loop. You have to use while loop, and then you'll have to do the search. Here they have given a 2-letter word. So whether you are trying to search value from a collection or from a file or from a database, doesn't matter. You can use in and not in. So here, but always remember there is a difference between equal to operator. यहाँ पे भी saw ना, There is one thing called as equal to operator. And there is a difference between in. In is to search value inside a collection. Whereas equal to operator is only when you are comparing checking. So ask yourselves, is it two values? Then use equal to. And if you're searching, you're not comparing, you're searching. So searching will be done with in. So here I'll make a note. Use equal to for value 1 and value 2. Value 1, value 2 comparison. And use membership operators for collection, for searching.
To change that membership operator. Ready? Third line.
Membership operator, yeah. एक जगह पे लिखा, दूसरी जगह पे रह गया. Documentation गया. Right? So here, use membership operators for searching value. I'll just go ahead with admin users. Admin users is equal to, and inside admin users, I have got root, I have got admin, I have got administrator. Okay. And I will take, please enter your username. Enter your username. And then I'll take the user equal to, and I'll check if user in admin users, then you have full privileges. You have full privileges. Or call the functions of admin users. Else you have guest privileges. Have guest privileges. And now you see Deva. Deva has got guest privileges. And if I say Rahul also has got guest privileges. If I say root has got full privileges. So likewise, you can use this in to search a value inside a collection. Correct?
We also use in for loop as well, right?
In for loop also. For in, but that is iteration. Whatever, look, in will use collection on the right hand side. Have you observed? For loop also takes collection to unpack the collection. So in works on the right hand side, it should be a collection. So basically in is designed for collections. So here, I will try to say equal to like this, and let us observe. I'll say root. Root has guest privileges. This is what you are not getting any syntax error, na? You are not getting any syntax. What you are doing? You are saying user, whatever string is there, that string object you are trying to compare it with equal to. Obviously, it will not work because you are trying to do search. So in that case, this has to be replaced with in. Similarly, also one more thing. Let me just give that.
We given a wrong input to that pop-up, that will throw an error, right? We need to handle that error.
In case here, because it is a string, it is working fine. Else you'll have to do conversions.
No, what I'm saying, we are giving a right string which is there in admin user list. What if we give input other than those root admin and administrator? Then we have to handle an exception.
You have to, if there is no else part, no output. Else better write else part. Now else part is as good as no need of. Exception is when you are trying to take input from the user. ये input के लिए you can take exception.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying कि अगर हमने input ही वो तीनों के अलावा दे दिया, तो then there is a chance we have a zero output or exception. That is what I am trying to understand.
There is no output. See, if there is no else part, conversions के लिए exception है. अभी conversion है ही नहीं ना.
Okay.
So if I write like this, root, root has full privileges, and if I put something like Deva, there is no need of exception handling because Deva user is not there.
Okay.
So if condition has failed and there is nothing. So if condition fails, na, you don't have to handle exception. Because
Okay.
basically, if has got a else part, and what you are doing is you are just searching it. Exception is when, as I have told you, right? Exception is when your program is working fine. Certain scenarios it is not able to handle.
Okay.
So right now my program is working fine. There is no problem. I can put anything, right? Even if I put something like 4.5, this will still work. I'll put 4.5. This is what? It's a string. So string ही तो search हो रहा है ना, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. But if I put a wrong conversion function or something, then I'll get exception. So I'll just take out one more example. I know you have understood it, but so I have got this, floating point values or integer values. Like I'll say version, and version is 3.6. And I'll say enter your version of Python. Enter your current version. And I will say if current version in version, correct? Then you can use f strings. Can use, or f strings is supported by else use str.format. Use dot. So now this is one of the mistakes that you may do. Like you may say, 4.5, and then you say, what is going wrong? Why 4, or if I try to say, not 4.5, 3.7, you will say, Arey, why is it doing this? Because you may forget. See, I took a string. Na? You'll have to use conversion. Don't forget this. You'll have to convert it into float, or better, you can say eval. Because if I say int, or if I wrongly do that, then it's an exception. Try and accept karna padega. I hope you got it, na? Yes. It should be float. So now I'll say 3.7. That's it. And either pe, if I put something like true value error, this value error can be with try and accept. So this is about membership operators and identity operators. So the next thing what we'll see is while loop, while and for. I'll go ahead with the classic example. Input, enter value, and I'll convert this into int, take the number, and I'll just calculate factorial of the number. While number is greater than 0, print, no need of print, number plus equal to or minus equal to 1. And here fact equal to fact into number. Fact equal to fact. Just print fact. Factorial is fact. 5 factorial is 1. So if you would have observed, pretty more or less, this is the same piece of code. All we have done is we have replaced that parenthesis with colon, indent and outlet. That's it. So this is exactly like the rest of the languages. The only thing is inside the body of the loop, see to it that you have to update the code. Outdate the code so that it comes out of file. Very simple. This is C style of doing things. You are not, it's not C language, it is Pythonic way of writing things. So here, if you take the value, no need of, doing all these things. बंदा क्या use करेगा? Import math, and he will say print factorial is math dot factorial of 5. Correct? So if you are Python programmer, you will do something like this. You will never do something like this. Only because I wanted to show you while condition, Now, again, there are so many questions which may be running in your head right now. How, Deva, you understood that there is factorial in math? Of course, you'll have to say help on modules. If you say help on modules, you'll get modules. You can get an entire list of all the modules. And then once if you get the entire list of all the modules, put the name, import the module. To understand what that module does, you'll have to import it and then check it. And finally, when you check it, you can see all the functions which will be written with DIR. Once if you identify, it will go sequentially, yeah? A, B, C, D, E. So you sequentially you can search it. And then finally, if you get to search that function, put it into help on reference.function. So that is how you should. So this is about while loop. The next thing what we'll see is, or if you want, you can try a simple example. Prime number. Again, prime number ke liye bhi you don't have to do anything. You have all the code. You can write it like this. You have a lovely library actually. You have so many libraries. One of the libraries is just import SymPy. Just let me show you this thing first. I'll have to say help on modules. Once if you do this, you'll get a list of built-in modules. And from here only you can check it. So you saw this, and then I'll just say what import. First, you'll have to say import the py file into the current scope, and then you'll have to say dir run, or just say help first, just to understand how or what is the purpose of that module. This will be nicely documented, by the way. And now they are saying that the name of the package is SymPy, and SymPy is Python library for symbolic mathematics. And full-fledged algebraic system, SymPy is going to take care of these things like algebra, calculus. Okay, if you talk about geometry, you talk about matrices. So these are sub packages. Okay, and it's huge. Once if you know, I'll just press Q and I will say help on or dir on SymPy. If you say dir on SymPy, see, at least it has got, I don't know, I'll have to say len on dir of, to get to know how many functions are there, I'll have to say len on dir of SymPy. 933 functions only in a single module. Right? So imagine if one module is having 1000 functions, and I'm saying more than 4 to 5 lakh modules are supported by Python. I hope now you understand why Python has become so popular. First, you have so much of code which is written and which is already tested, bug-free code. for any domain, right? So of course, you will not be able to use all these functions. Depending upon the use case, you should be able to search it.
How to check help
Help,
bracket library name, right?
help on first two-step process. है वो. First, you'll have to say import. Step number one is what? Just say help on modules. Help on, this is step number one. If you say help on modules, this will give you a list of all the modules. Then you have to search inside that list. Like I want something related to XML. So do you have anything related to XML? Alphabetically, if you check, X वाला कुछ तो दिखेगा आपको. Once if you know that, then what you have to do? Import that module to verify what is there inside it. So import module name. So after this, second thing what I did was import. I did NumPy like this. Okay. Only then you can say help on NumPy. You cannot say help on module name without importing it. So it's a two-step process.
So they were, it's
Huh?
documented only on the command line, somewhere on the Python org also.
Yes, yes, same documentation. It is there in idle. Idle help में भी मिलेगा. You will get it into docs.python.org. वहाँ पे Python docs है ना?
Python docs, yeah.
Docs.
Yes.
वहाँ पे you should get, और यहीं पे you will see even once if you do this, अभी ये NumPy वाला नहीं मिलेगा docs पे. हाँ? NumPy का अलग है.
Okay.
Django का अलग है. So it depends. Just see. They will give you the documentation is available at homepage. See scipy.org. Documentation is available in two formats. Okay. So उधर ही either command line पे they will tell you if it is available on docs.python.org.
Mhm.
And there was one function set. The sysname is the function.
Which one?
Module. Syspy.
SysPy.
Sympy, sorry.
SysPy.
This sets is different and we are learn.
Okay, you are saying you identified that there is one set inside SysPy, and you are asking whether that set is different from this set. You will have same set of functions, same application in different modules.
We could have, right?
You will have same function, same functionality like factorial. Factorial find it in NumPy also, Pandas also, Math also, SymPy also. So factorial will be there everywhere. Now the question is, and factorial will find factorial. But the question is, why you will use a particular module, depending upon what you are doing. That is the thing that you have to choose. Like if you want to create, वो आपका requirement है. So, I'll just give you a small example. Like in Python, the very oldest library was TK. TK to create UI application, buttons and text box. But then people got fed up. They wanted something much better. So they came up with one more library called as Kiwi. Okay, Kiwi and PyQt. Two more libraries are used. And then they realized PyQt and Kiwi is much better UI. So UI जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. So there is an old saying, if it looks nice, it is easily sold. But that is the toughest part. I really, respect people who are into UI part. Hats off. Anybody who has exclusively worked on UI from here? No one? I'll tell you. They say UI is very easy. What is there in UI? Huh? करके देखो, then you will realize. So एक छोटा सा चीज, if it goes down, people will spend 3 days and 4 days to get that thing. छोटा सा change. UI, like it's very tough. People work on UI also. So I'm not comparing. Again, I'm not saying that UI people are the only. But yeah, it's very challenging. Don't assume that it's easy. तो वो बोलते हैं HTML5 CSS में what do you have? It's easy, right? HTML tags, CSS. Not like that. It takes time to create a nice little. So इसीलिए PyQt and Kiwi became very popular because they wanted a better UI. Then they again started using, you know, TK-Inter. The TK-Inter का sub library they created, and then people again started migrating to, you know, TK-Inter to create. So what I'm wanted to tell you about is which library to choose. It's up to you as to what functionality you really, then you can choose. But there are options to choose in Python.
Function which are available on different packages having the same code or different code, like factorial.
Factorial. So you more or less the logic should be same, no?
Should be same.
Should be same, must be same.
So.
Now you'll talk about performance, I got it.
Yeah. So if you are importing multiple modules, so will that matter like on that performance? Will it make heavier or?
Yes, so if you talk about, you know, lightweight applications, for lightweight applications, they say use lightweight. Okay, if you want to create a lightweight thing. And then they say use these modules if you are dealing with huge data. So they say, because abhi wo, how that library is implemented internally, you'll have to check. छोटे-छोटे चीजें ना, they have actually changed. But वो छोटे-छोटे चीजें बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, and then you have to actually check why the performance is like that. And but practically saying, they go ahead with, like, if you want to have a Oracle database connection, right? It is better to go ahead with Django. Just an example. Or if you want to have a lightweight website, why will you go for Django and all? You can go ahead with a Flask or a Pyramid, which is for lightweight mobile applications and all. So ask yourselves what kind of, you know, application, and then वो library कैसे design किया है for performance. बहुत सारी चीजें they might have changed. As you said, is it the same logic? Maybe not. नहीं तो performance कैसे आएगा? Agar if you are saying कि performance is much better, then the library has to, you know, make some changes internal. नहीं तो वो if same function इधर भी है इधर भी है, same ही perform input same रहेगा तो output same आएगा ना. If you are giving the same input, you should get the same output. And if you are claiming that this thing is much better than this, then there has to be some changes.
I have one question. Say in SQL, before we even run a query, I know it's going to be heavy. It has multiple index references or multiple conditions are there. And normally we time it, like before even running it, there is a clause called explain analyze. So you know how much time it's going to take
Okay.
to run by limiting it to one condition, then extrapolate on how many records I'm fetching in that. So can be done. So something similar is available in any library.
Yeah, you can use a time it with time it. But then time it can work on a function. If it is inside a function, you can place it. I'll check and I'll show you.
For example, we have a end-to-end flow. Consider a menu-driven program, no UI, nothing. Just a command line menu-driven program, if then else and everything. And I just want to time the entire block,
Yeah, you can do that.
beginning to end. One iteration, how much it will take.
Use import time. There is a import time, and in time only you have got. Here you have got some functions. Okay, this one is in time. There is one time and time. There's one more. With time only you can do that. I'll just check these functions now. I'll get back to you. I did it, but I did it for some time. I'll have to check it. But we'll surely do that. So coming back to how to use help. So can you try a simple program? Here only I was just talking about this now. How to search. How to search. So I was saying import SymPy. Of course, there are how many functions? Almost 1000 functions. If I do dir on, you will see something like time or something like that. So just check whether you are able to check it and whether you are able to fix it across. HIJKLM. See here you have it, na? Prime factors, prime nu, prime omega, prime pi. So here I'll just say print help on so like this you'll have to say see return the nth prime number. So it is not used for checking the prime number, it is returning the nth prime number. You'll see documentation is also available. So for how to use it, there are some examples which are given. This is the first prime. So don't think that prime will show you prime number, right? So normally people will think it will show that. So you'll have to check the rest of the function. But don't write code for it. So the next thing what we'll say is for loops. We'll see for loops. So in case of for loops, let it be list, let it be tuple, let it be set 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And here I'll just say what for item is list one, print item, that's it. And you can see I'm unpacking the values. In case if you want to do this, you can also write END is equal to opening brace, double quotes. What is this end? End is called as keyword argument. It is called as keyword argument. So it's an optional keyword argument because by default your print will take your cursor on the next. If you don't want it on the next line, just pass this optional keyword argument. It will what happened now? Be on the same line. So I'm just putting a space in case. Paste it, and I'll just change this. I'll change this to set. Set, how will I do? I'll put it into curly braces. So for item in set one, and here I'll just change this to tuple. And tuple, I'll go ahead with like this. So for item in tuple one. See, same thing, na? What is for loop doing? For loop is unpacking your list. For loop is unpacking your set. For loop is unpacking your tuple. And for loop can also unpack dictionary, which we'll see right. But basically, for loop is take that square bracket, curly braces out. Within square bracket, you have one more square bracket and one more. So you'll have to have a nested for loop. Right? We'll see that thing also.
The double quotes.
That is to just to take your cursor on the next line. Okay? Because end was like keeping it on the same line, right? So the next thing is how to use a for loop on a dictionary. So for this, I will say, I'll create a dictionary. Dictionary is India is equal to, within curly braces, I'll put Maharashtra, colon, by, comma, Karnataka, colon, Bangalore, colon, Chennai. And I'll just say for cities in India. Print. What will I get when I say print cities? It will print only keys, not values. It is only keys, or here I'll just have to say what states. For states in India, print states. And you see what you are getting. Are you getting Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu? Basically, what is this pure dictionary? And what for loop has done? For loop is only taking keys, not values. So this is going to print only keys. Correct? If you want values, then you'll have to say what? Put the states as argument for India. You put this into square bracket. If you put the states for India, then you will get Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai. So here, what I will do is I'll paste it, and I want only values. So here I'll just do this with for India into bracket states. So this will print only values. See, am I getting Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai? So I'm getting only values. So for India, if you pass keys, so here I'm taking India just like this. But for India only, what I'm doing, I'm passing keys. So if I pass for this dictionary, if I pass keys, I'll get only values.
Can I assign these values into a variable? Or
Yes, absolutely right. You can put it into a collection, or basically, you can put it into any, because right now it is inside for loop. If you want to use it outside for loop, obviously it should be inside a collection. Whenever you want, you can unpack either one value by putting a subscript, or if you want to unpack all values, you use.
What if I want both?
What
Keys
about?
and value. Keys and value.
Key and value, both. So then you'll have to say dot items. Yesterday we did, right? Na? Same example. Yesterday we only displayed list, but we never unpacked it. Right now we are unpacking it with for loop. Yesterday we saw the output, right? It will return only list or list of tuples. So now it's a very interesting question that you have asked. See here, please observe. Here when I say for, I'll say states, comma, cities in. First, what I will do is I'll just say what for records in India dot items print records. What is the data type of records? The data type of records is tuple. It is tuple because items will return list of tuples. So dot items will return list of tuples, and if you check type of record becomes tuple. So if I run this, what you get is a tuple. See, you are getting Maharashtra, Mumbai, Karnataka, but it is inside tuple because dot items is returning a list of tuples. So here, if
Not
I,
item is a function, right?
items is a function inside dictionary. So here, if I say print, what is that? Just a minute. Print India.items. India.items. If I do this, just see here, it is like this one. Inside this, you have got this. Correct? So with for loop, what you have done? With for loop, you have taken this out. But tuple is still there. Na? How will you unpack the tuple? Now you'll have to unpack the tuple also. There are two ways in which you can do this. First way is not that good, but you can use it. Here only you can say what? Records of 0. Records of 0 will show you what? Tuple unpacking or run. See, what is the data type here? The data type is a tuple, which we already saw. I don't have to show this. I'm just saying type. And you see class tuple. But obviously it is a tuple. And tuple ko, how we take the value out of tuple? With subscript. How we take the values from list? With subscript. So I can actually use a subscript, or I can use a for loop, or I can use multiple variable assignments. 3 ways. So first way is records, which we'll see. So type is like this. I'll comment it. Becomes a tuple. And to unpack the tuple, I'll say records of 0, comma, records of 1. Correct? Now you see, are you getting Maharashtra, Mumbai outside tuple? So for loop is taking square bracket out, and subscript is taking tuple out. Agreed?
కూడా
Getting, huh, everybody? So, so here what I can do, this is one way which normally people use a lot, but I would prefer using, rather than using this, I've seen people writing code like this, but I would prefer using this mechanism to unpack the dictionary. So here, this will return a list of tuples. Why to write code like this? Can you make it much better? How?
Multiple variable assignment.
Yes, very good. So you said what?
So
State,
just name it over there.
comma. That's it. Much better to read. No? So here when you say like this, state or city is is in Maharashtra state, Bangalore. Like this. So here you are, I'll repeat it again. Here you are doing two things, by the way. First thing is within you are taking square bracket out, and with comma operator you are taking tuple out. So you are unpacking two things. Right? So first way is better or second way is better? Obviously second way is better. And one more thing.
the first way it will not work for the long, if there is a huge dictionary, huge records, because you are assigning only 0 and 1. What about others?
Comma 2, 3, 4.
100 records.
Then 100. It will work. The whole thing dot items is, it is returning a list of tuples. And वो tuple के अंदर, just a minute.
State के अंदर multiple cities like that.
State के अंदर multiple cities है तो for loop और एक लगाना पड़ेगा.
Okay.
या फिर subscript लगाना पड़ेगा. So it is like a key of key of key. So how will you do that? Either put a subscript or a for loop.
So
this is
nested for
about
loop लगाना nested लगाना पड़ेगा.
Nested for loop.
देखिए example, can we see?
Which one?
Nested for loop.
We'll see that. For, I'll just say list 1 equal to, I have got 10, 20, 30, and I will say list 2 equal to 40, 50, 60. And, or maybe inside this only I will put it, comma. It is a 2D array, 70, 80, 90, and it is like this. And here I'll say what? I'll just say print list 1. This will show you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It's a 2D array, right? List of lists. Now, if you want to put the for loop, put a for loop here. Or let me just show, which we have already discussed yesterday also. This is one way of unpacking values. When you say list of 0, this will take first square bracket out and you'll get 10, 20, 30. And yesterday only we did this. And it unpack the second value. When I say list 1 of 0, 0, this will give you 10. Or 0, 1, 2, this will give you 30. Okay, so first bracket out. Yesterday we discussed this way of unpacking the collection. Now we'll do it with for loop. So for loop is for, I'll say row in list 1. Print row. And see the data type. It is a single bracket with for loop. So the data type is, it is not a list of lists. Now it is a list. And on this row, I'll say what? For column in row, print column. Now you are unpacking 10, 20, 30, 40. So likewise. So there are two ways. Either you can use two subscripts or you'll have to put. Sometimes this is handy if you want only one value or two values. And if you really want to work on all the values, use for loop. Normally it is up to the use case, whether you want to work on all the values or one value. Only one value if you want, why will you put a for loop? Because for works on the entire data set.
in that case, we can just use in list, right?
You want to do search. We'll see search also.
This row and column is not a keyword.
No,
Even
it's not a
anything.
keyword, it's just a reference. I can write Jack and Rose. So the next thing what we'll see is some built-in functions should we see or like, okay, I'll go ahead with control statements, simplified way. How this could be simplified? Whatever we are seeing right now, it is like a traditional, approach, which is very similar to rest of the languages. Of course, there is some change like colon and syntax, but whatever you have seen is much, more or less the same in the rest of the language. But Python has got its own style, which is very different from the rest of the languages. That is called as Pythonic way of writing code. So these kind of things you can do it, you can simplify 4 lines into 1 line. Okay, so we'll see that particular thing. Okay, and then I'll revisit this example.
We take 5 minutes break.
Will we have it? It's 12:30 now. We'll have it for 10 minutes.
जो भी
पेंडिंग होता है